episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I wanted to have a little fun. Now, I know a lot of guys have talked about what 5 wristwatches would you wear for the end of the world, or what are the 5 toughest watches. And that's what I want to talk about today, but with a few rules to make this list a little bit more interesting. The watch has to be mechanical, so no quartz, no Breitling Emergency, Breitling Aerospace, or a lot of other Breitlings actually. And it has to be a luxury wristwatch. Now, also, there's no scientific scale for toughness, so I'm just going to talk about the ones I think make the list. So if I missed a couple of your choices, remember this is only a list of 5 and it's based purely on my opinion and my experiences. But of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. Today, finally got the vintage Speedy back on the wrist. Miami's really hot and nasty outside, but I'm spending the day indoors. So why not stick on the Speedy with the leather strap? And also, I wanted to bring you guys to the attention of a bunch of new watches I got in stock at delraywatch.com, my website. I have a Tudor Black Bay chronograph. I have a Speedy Pro. I got a bunch of watches in or under the $1,000 range that are more colorful, perfect for summer if you guys have a fun watch itch you want to scratch. And I have a Speedmaster Mark 40 with the black dial, a triple date chronograph automatic that I think is one of the best values in watches around. Yes, it's not the iconic Speedy Pro, but it's an interesting variation that they stopped making, so it's actually not that common. So if you guys want to check out that Mark 40 as well, go to delraywatch.com, link in the description below. So anyway, tough watches. Well, I wanted to come up with a list of 5 really, really tough watches I would wear if I, God forbid, was stranded on an island or in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. But being a watch geek, I want it to be mechanical, even though that's probably not the smartest choice. And I wanted it to be a luxury watch. Why? Well, it's my list, and I'm kind of making up the scenario, so why not? And I came up with these 5 that I would love to have with me that I think fit the bill perfectly, and they're in no particular order. So let's get right into it. The first one is the Rolex Deep Sea, the 44mm version. Now, I think this watch has a few issues. I don't think it's proportioned all that well. I think the bracelet is way too narrow. But as far as toughness goes, you've got a 3,900 meter water resistant rating, which, by the way, guys, water resistance doesn't actually mean you're going to go down to 3,900 meters. I'm well aware that's impossible. However, water resistance ratings can be used to judge the integrity of a watch case. How sturdy is it? How much pressure going to take? So even though I'd probably drown in about 6 inches of water, a 3,900 meter water resistance rating means the watch is tough as nails. Helium escape valve, rotating bezel, ceramics, 904L steel, and probably most importantly, the Rolex movement is as sturdy as they come. You can probably pour a bucket of sand, not literally, into the movement, and it would still keep going. This watch is, well, a fantastic, rugged, quote-unquote, beater, even though it's expensive. It should last for years to come and should get put through all the paces you guys would face in that scenario with no issues. Next is a love it or hate it watch, the Omega Ploprof. Now, this, even if you love the watch, there's no nice way to say it. It's an ugly piece. However, it was designed to fit a purpose. When Omega first came out with this, many decades ago, it was meant for use as professional as a professional dive watch for professional divers, not as a watch for consumers. And that is why it looks the way it does, because function follows form, or form follows function. One of those two. 1200 meters water resistance. It has a locking bezel that is used with that button on the side, a helium escape valve, very, very luminous dial, and usually comes on a mesh or rubber bracelet. Perfect for dive suits. At 48 millimeters, this thing is a huge monster. But considering that proprietary crown guard and the fact that it's essentially a big chunk of metal, this thing is pretty indestructible. Now, yes, while it is ugly, I find it extremely charming. You definitely don't see them out in the wild. Lay people or non-watch guys probably won't understand it, but I am a watch geek, and to me, this thing is freaking awesome. And I definitely want to add one to the collection at one point. Now, another good thing is they're selling way below retail. So if you guys want a dive watch with a ton of personality, the Omega Ploprof might be the watch for you. Now, next in a list, mostly full of dive watches, we have a chronograph. And I'm going to go with the Breitling Chronomatte. Now, I know I've been ragging on Breitling a lot lately, and, people have been accusing me of that as well, but that's because of their marketing and the direction they're taking the brand. I have no real issues with their watches. In fact, this, in my opinion, is the toughest chronograph for the money. It's 500 meter water resistance, which is extremely rare in a chronograph, because remember, in chronographs, you have to cut out holes for pushers, so already the integrity of the case is compromised. You've got a very sturdy in-house BO1 movement with extended power reserves and, of course, a column wheel chrono. You've got a big chunk of metal and a rotating bezel, and Breitling is known for making extremely tough watches. If you want a chronograph that can also be banged around, this watch is, honestly significantly tougher than the Speedy with its 50-meter water resistance and a tessellite crystal. Now, the Speedy has other pros. I'm not saying the BO1 is better than the Speedy, but, the Speedy, while full of history, is a tough watch for its time. However, in modern days, with the sapphire crystal, the 500 meters, water resistance, the screw-down pushers, the new in-house movement, the Breitling B01, the Chronomatte, is really, really tough, a tough act to follow if you're looking for a bang-around chronograph for the end of the world in a mechanical form. These watches, just like the Omega, sell for a fraction of their asking price. And while I don't think the brand is doing particularly well in terms of marketing and moving the brand forward, I can't really say too many bad things about the Chronomatte. It's just a really tough SOB. Now comes another brand that I really do love that I've ragged on a lot, but I'll explain why. And I'm going to go with the Panerai Submersible PAM24. This is one of Panerai's automatic watches with the rotating bezel. Now, why do I think Panerai is such a tough watch? I certainly don't think they're hot horology, but once again, they were designed for a purpose, and that purpose was to be military divers. The best feature of these Panerais is their simplicity. It's one big hunk of metal with a crown guard, a proprietary crown guard, which is more than just a screw-down crown, a sapphire crystal, and the movement is a Valjoux 7750 with the chronograph taken off. Now, the Valjoux 7750 is one of the toughest movements out there, and with it missing the chronograph module, there's even less to go wrong. It's very water resistant and has a rotating bezel. It also comes in a titanium cased version if you like the PAM25, and it's extremely luminous. This is a simple watch. As I said, it's not hot horology. It's very simple, very easily to fix and service if any watchmakers should be alive for the end of the world, and it can be beat around like no one's business. That kind of makes it one of the ideal watches for this purpose. And I think it's when Panerai sticks to watches like this, simple, sturdy, beautiful design, which is also happens to be a tough design, and they forget the in-house movements, they forget the micro rotors, and they throw away that godforsaken 30mm luminar due, that the brand actually shines. And for this reason, me being a Paneristi, even though it doesn't really sound like it by my last videos, I had to add this one to the list. And last, but certainly not least, is a watch that I've mentioned in a lot of these, tough watch lists. A watch which certainly doesn't get enough love, and that is the Gasuto Original Sport Evolution, particularly the one with the movement bumpers. Now this is, once again, a dive watch, seems to be the standard on this list, with the extendable clasp, which they actually invented before Rolex, rotating bezel, and an in-house movement, which may not be the toughest, however, the architecture is sturdy. But Federico, what makes that so tough? It just sounds like another standard dive watch. Well, this has a special feature. Surrounding the movement, you have spring-loaded bumpers, so when the watch takes an impact, the movement can absorb the shock by moving around. This specific feature, and the fact that it is a watch without any high complications, makes it very, very interesting and very sturdy. Now, not the easiest to fix if, once again, watchmakers would be alive, in that zombie apocalypse or on that desert island. However, if shock is the main thing you need to be guarding against, this Gasuto Sport Evolution definitely fits that bill. Once again, I don't love the design. I genuinely don't even find it all that charming, but it is impressive and it does do a job. And for that reason, I think it needs to make this list. Anyway, guys, as I said, there could be a ton more choices on this list. All the quartz Breitlings, the Breitling Avenger Seawolf, maybe the Hublot Oceanographique, the Jaeger Extreme Lab or the Jaeger Navy SEALs, a couple of really tough Bremonts, an IWC Aqua Timer. I mean, there are a lot of choices, but this is, my list. I condensed it down to 5, and I think these 5 are probably the ones I'd choose from if I had to make that decision. Guys, what do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. I'm genuinely intrigued. And also, as I said, please don't forget to check out Del Rey Watch Supply, delreywatch.com, my website where I not only sell watches, but I also service them. So if you need a repair, let us know. Also, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around for another episode of Federico Talks Watches, and of course, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.